Hi, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements and videos about Pathfinder 2, or PF2. I love PF2. This is my favorite system that I've ever played in. Even though you have to modify every system you're in, this is the best one I've ever been in. And I know that's totally subjective, best, but that's me. That's what I feel about it. So welcome to Familiars, an update, a retrospective. So there are a couple of things to talk about the familiars in this book. The least important, but should be mentioned, is that there's a new familiar master ability because alchemy has changed. Or rather, advanced alchemy has changed. Since there's no longer infused reagents, there's no longer a master familiar ability that gives you extra reagents. Just doesn't work that way. So I'm going to read them to you. They're basically what you would expect, but they're on the screen if you want to see it too. New master abilities. Extra alchemy. Your familiar helps you brew items at the start of the day. You can create one additional item with advanced alchemy during your daily preparations. You must have the advanced alchemy ability to select this ability. This matters probably most for people who've taken the alchemist archetype, because the alchemist gets to add their intelligence modifier and they start off with more. So, like, you know, this is better for the archetype, but it's also just good in general. It's an extra item. Also, separate ability, extra vial. Your familiar accretes alchemical liquids in its body. Once per day, you can interact when your familiar is adjacent to you to gain a versatile vial. You must have the versatile vial's ability to select this ability. So obviously this would be for the extra versatile vial to be able to change that versatile vial into different things, because this isn't a temporary one. This is just you gain a versatile vial. Because it doesn't say it's temporary, so it's not. So it's not just the bomb or your specialty. It's whatever consumable you want to make it into by spending an action with quick alchemy. I like alchemy, especially now. It's easier to understand. All right, here's the big deal about the new familiar's abilities. There's just one. New familiar ability, item delivery. If your familiar is adjacent to you, you can command it to deliver an item. Instead of its normal 2 actions, your familiar interacts to take an item you're holding of light bulk or less, then takes 1 move action, then finally interacts to pass off the item to another willing creature. So that's 3 actions with your 1 action. It can instead administer the item to the creature if it can do so with 1 action and has an appropriate type of item, such as an alchemical elixir. You can give your friends elixirs with your familiar now, even if they're like unconscious, or if they don't want to take an action to do it. Your familiar can pour it down their mouth. If your familiar doesn't reach the target this turn, it holds the item until commanded otherwise. Your familiar must have the manual dexterity ability to select this. So let me tell you why this matters so much. So previously, without this, what we could do is, because the familiar is a creature, it has a carrying capacity. Because it doesn't have a strength score, it's 5 plus 0 for its strength score. Tiny sized, half, so they have 2.5 bulk available for them to carry. You could hand them an item and have them carry the item to someone else. They're not using the item, and familiars can't use items, that's fine. They're just carrying it. But this saves you an action in that process. Plus, familiars cannot activate items, meaning that they couldn't pour potions down someone's throat. Or, use a magic bandage or whatever. This is awesome. This is actually why the herbalist's poultice ability was awesome, because it allowed the poultices to be applied directly to someone. Thus, it wasn't really specific, but you could think of it as you could give this poultice to the familiar and the familiar could apply it to somebody. The herbalist has even less appeal to me now. But this is freaking awesome for everybody, including chirurgeons, alchemists. I mean, granted, they don't need it necessarily because they can throw, but this is useful for so many freaking people. I'm going to use this every chance that I get. It's great. One more thing about familiars. Homunculus. We have an actual specific familiar homunculus instead of the monster. I mean, if somebody else was able to find a homunculus stat somewhere for a familiar, let me know. I never could. I couldn't find it on Reddit either. People are just like, I don't know, you just call your familiar Homunculus and you have one. So, Homunculus, new specific familiar. Homunculi are tiny servitor constructs created by a crafter to serve as a spy, scout, messenger, or assistant. A homunculus is crafted using a drop of its creator's blood in addition to any other components used in crafting its body. Homunculus. Construct. Required number of abilities, 6. Granted abilities, Construct, Dark Vision, Manual Dexterity, Poison Reservoir. And it has the Porter ability, which means you can choose for your homunculus to have either Item Delivery, the one that I just read, or Valet, to make an item available for you. So it costs 6, but you basically get 5. Plus, it has Blood Link. It has the mental trait. A homunculus is telepathically linked to its creator using their shared blood as a conduit, allowing it to share information back and forth at a range of 1,500 feet, including its master's knowledge and everything the homunculus hears. If you become unconscious and dying, your homunculus senses the waning power in your blood, allowing it to automatically act on the next turn as if you commanded it, after you go down. If the homunculus is destroyed, the master takes 2d10 mental damage. So yeah, alright, that part sucks. The homunculus is really, really neat and interesting, and I love the blood link, the connection psychically at 1,500 feet. That's great. That's something that no other... I mean, like, you could have taken telepathy, but it's touch telepathy with familiars. And, yeah, you can have an empathic connection, but this, like, also removes arguments at the table, because, like, well, your familiar might feel danger, but it's not like you get an impression of what it is. Well, what kind of familiar is? What kind of creature is my familiar? Maybe it would have a specific feeling related to a specific thing. Like, if a wolf is attacking my rabbit familiar, maybe it would have a specific feeling that it has about wolves, and I'd know it's a wolf. Yes, I've had these arguments. This removes that problem. It's just psychic telepathy at all times. You know. That's great. I'm glad the homunculus exists. And it's fun. How'd you get your familiar? Oh, it's made from my blood. So, I'll reiterate, the major awesome thing about the familiar changes in this book is just item delivery. That's it. Item delivery is awesome, but the homunculus is good too. There are also some other minor changes, but mostly just like renaming stuff or making it work with the new mechanics. Like the fairy dragon isn't called a fairy dragon anymore, it's called a fey dragonette, because it's a little dragon. Dragonette. Little dragon. It's pretty much the same thing. So I love these. This is cool. If you have any like questions about familiars or like, all right, how about this? At the end of this, there's going to be a link to the familiar videos that I've made before. Go look at them. If you have questions, let me know. Maybe I'll make another familiar video. But you gotta let me know, because otherwise I don't see the need for it. Thank you for letting me borrow your eyes and ears today. And if you're a patron, I am in your debt. Thank you for being here and for helping with the channel. It's meant a lot. There's so much growth lately. Thank you all for being here. It's really cool. So if you want to see the Familiars playlist, it's here. And if you want to see the rest of the Player Core 2 videos, it's in this playlist here, if you might have missed it. And thank you for being here. Mwah. See you soon.